Yeah, so mine will hover between like 85 to like 99%. Jerry's will hover around about 12
On a good day.
on a good day.
Oh dear.
On a good day. But yeah, it so far seems to be stable. But like, if there's issues, there's issues. So like, you should have seen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched the latest podcast. It was a cluster.
So I tend to go audio only for podcasts. I don't tend to watch many podcasts. I listen. But it's a bit depressing that it seemed like Yevgeny has a better connection than I do in my office.
In a war-torn
Yeah.
location.
I tend to watch podcasts. I don't listen to them.
Okay. I tend to listen while I'm doing other stuff.
No, like I'll only have the video. I won't have any
You have
audio.
them on mute. You just watch people.
Yeah. So when I play this, yeah, exactly. I like lip reading.
By the way, I'm recording. I'm putting that in the podcast. By the way. I'm definitely putting that.
It's just a whole new experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's do the YouTube spiel, as I like to call it. Oh dear! Don't make me laugh, Jerry, because you do something stupid every time I go into this. You do something stupid. Oh dear! Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to the Distinct and Jovial podcast. My name is Dominic. I have absolutely no idea what is going on with my. I'm going to call him a co-founder today. I'm going to upgrade him from co-host to co-founder.
I feel privileged. Thank you.
Only purely because I've been listening to another podcast and they call each other the co-founders.
I like it.
How are you doing, Jerry?
I'm very good, thank you. Albeit a bit tired. My battery level's at about 3%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds like you've had a heck of a week, which we won't go into. But yeah. It's been a tired week.
It's been a long week.
It's been a long year for a couple of months.
It's been a long decade, to be fair. Long millennium, I'd go so far as to say. This has been a particularly long millennium. The last millennium didn't seem so long.
Our own experience, part of that. And we have a guest. Woohoo! We have joined once again by the man, the myth, the legend himself, Adam.
Hello.
It was a year ago that you were on the podcast.
It was indeed, yeah. Yeah, a very long year.
Yeah, I think and we're going to get into it a little bit like on this podcast because it's going to be a really poignant. I've just realised that your drink is the same colour as my T-shirt, which just completely threw me off guard. As normal, it's going to be full of tangents, folks. Full of tangents. We're going to get a little bit into it during this podcast around, I'm going to call it I'm going to use air quotes for audio listeners. Life choices, I think, and the impacts that have. There's been a lot that's happened this year, and I think both of these two wonderful gents that I have joining this podcast have some really interesting journeys that they've kind of gone on, and I'm jealous of them both that they've got to experience something and then changed minds. So we'll get into that. Not prepared for today. So what am I doing with this YouTube spiel today? Normally I'm on it like a car bonnet. I'd like to point out this is episode 21. It's the 24th of February, and it's 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday. Normally we do this in the evening. So
that's what it is. My schedule's thrown you.
It's just all of our schedules have thrown me completely. But hey ho, we live, we breathe, and we're getting on. And we always caveat the opinions displayed on this podcast are our own and don't represent the company that companies that we work for. And that, I believe, interrupting was, I believe, your sister-in-law.
I take no responsibility.
I wouldn't either. That's probably the best way to put it. I don't think anyone can take responsibility.
Sorry, just before we get into this, so you said about opinions. But I also want to add that opinions are like belly buttons, and everyone's got one.
It's true. It's true, and they're normally neglected to being cleaned as well. Sometimes some opinions are. Keep that one in.
Do you know? I would love
That's
to.
not necessary.
Well, I would love to actually knit a jumper made from belly button fluff. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh,
your own or donations
I
of?
think it would have to be my own donations. It'd have to be my own, but it'd be like a jumper that would be, I don't know, 20 years in the making. Wouldn't it? You'd have to collect it in a big jar. It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't even know where I go from here, to be totally honest.
I don't know. Or a jumper just made from, not just from belly button fluff, but also eyelashes. So just like itch a bit as well.
Oh. No, I'm not on board with this.
Hey, listen,
Jerry, are you okay?
I'm just spitballing. I'm tired. Yeah. Just randomly coming out with ideas. Let's run that up the flagpole, see who salutes it.
The only person I think that can give an opinion on this is probably Samwise, as she's the one that does cross stitch, and I'm pretty sure that she's going to be sat there horrified at what you've just said.
Probably. Oh, actually, to her, I have something I have to say, which is Guten Morgen. There you go.
Yeah.
Wie geht's? There you go. That's my German done.
That's about as far as my German goes as well, to be fair. And even then, it was probably pronounced wrong on 20 different levels.
Yeah. I've been, slacking off recently, but trying to learn Dutch,
Yes.
which is kind of German light. But...
I call it German with phlegm.
throaty German.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. And I hope some of our Taekwondo colleagues in the Netherlands hear that.
So I did find out that actually that was one of the ways that the Dutch managed to root out German spies during World War II, is how they were pronouncing their G's. So in most places in the Netherlands, the G is a very soft kind of throaty sound, but in Germany it's a hard G. And that's how they could tell the difference. They'd get them saying sentences with loads of G's in it.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We have got an interesting facts section on today. I
should have saved it.
Well, I've got some interesting facts.
So what? So did they used to say things like, hey, fancy going to Greg's?
Yeah, something like that. Because Greg's was around in the 40s.
I'm going to Google that.
What do you mean? Just a chap called Greg's?
Just some bloke called Greg who happened to bake as well.
Should we see Greg and Jeffrey and George?
When was Greg's founded? When do you think?
I think either going to be quite recent.
93.
Oh, I'm going
93.
77.
1977. 1939. So he could have used that sentence.
Thank you. That would have been the test.
Yeah. Founded in Teesside in obviously Newcastle. Up north. Very far north. Flipping north, very far north. And having done that journey 3 times in the last 2 years, it's a long way. 4 times? 3 times? Enough times to know that it's a long way.
Yeah.
You cheated,
it's a flight away. Yeah, I was going to say it's a flight away for me. So.
Yeah. Oh,
I think it was quicker getting to Paris than Newcastle.
There is something in that, isn't there? Because it must be a similar distance, time-wise, flight-wise.
Yeah.
And it depends on which airport you went to.
Straight line is, Well, I flew from Southampton for both, so...
Yeah.
It's not far off.
It's probably similar time.
I have to look that up on Google Maps.
Better company in Newcastle, clearly, though.
Did you do Paris IAC?
I didn't do Paris IAC.
You didn't? No.
Hence why I can make that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, my. So we are going to Taekwondo a little bit here, Jerry. So you perhaps can ask some of your questions in a bit. But so my international instructors course goes Aberdeen, Cardiff, Newcastle, Orlando, Florida, which is a bit it's a bit of an extreme.
Of course,
yeah.
If you sort of do that whole, what comes next?
Yeah.
I think Orlando
Complete
is
the
the obvious.
sequence.
Yeah, complete the sequence.
Complete the sequence. Yeah. Yeah.
Southampton, Newcastle,
Yeah.
Hull,
Yeah.
Cardiff. What's next? Orlando. Correct.
Yeah.
Just recently seen there's an umpires course in Malaysia coming up.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's one. It's one this
Good excuse
weekend.
to go to Malaysia on the business account. That is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Finland this weekend.
Yes.
I saw Rach Kennedy's picture. It looks nice and snowy out there at the moment.
Yeah. Probably very cold. So yeah, IUC is International Umpires Course. There's loads of them. IIC, is it an
UC, ICC,
CC,
IDC, IKC.
IAC?
Yep.
Yeah. I can think of all of the acronyms off the top of my head.
Adapted course, DO course, kids course, umpires course, instructors course,
Coaches
conference.
All with always being international. Jerry looks completely stunned and is like,
I'm just thinking, what was it? Mr. International? No, what was it? You said it. We joked about it when I was wearing the sunglasses.
Oh, Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide, that's it.
Mr. Worldwide,
Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah, that's it. He goes to all the II, whatever. The eyes.
The eye.
He goes to all the eyes.
The eye something sees.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, we'll go back to food. Do you want to do your interrogation, Jerry? Because you've been interrogating.
I do.
Go.
Are we starting with that then, rather than food of the month?
We'll go back to the food.
Okay.
I'm being flexible. I'm being sporadic. I don't know how it's going to go down.
No, that's fine. So, okay. So if you got into a fight with a baked potato, no, I'm joking. I was trying to sort of mash up the two. See what I did there?
Nice knife and fork.
Slightly soft butter.
Fair enough.
Bit of salt and pepper.
No, okay. So we're going to get serious now because I'm really intrigued. I've been wanting to ask somebody that's at the top of their game in any martial art.
I don't know why he's come to us.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'll phone a friend. But...
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they weren't available.
Get your wife in. Get your wife in.
Well, I thought you guys will do because I couldn't find anybody that's top of their game. So I can say this safely because you can't get to me. I'm out of arm's reach and legs reach. So I asked Dom a number of questions actually when we last spoke, and I'm intrigued. So there's a whole bunch of questions here, and I get that probably that they're either going to be very difficult to answer or maybe even impossible to answer. But I suppose I'm asking because I just want your view. And I might throw in some silly questions in there, like if you got into a fight with Chuck Norris, who would win? I mean, obviously Chuck Norris would win, but clearly. But but I've always wondered. So, for example, in Taekwondo, if you've got somebody that has been studying this for, let's say, 30 years, and let's say they're a much more slight build than somebody that's been studying it for 10 years. So let's say you've got somebody who's very proficient, so a black belt, happens to be, I don't know, 6'4", 6'5", been doing this for 10 years. I'm assuming, can you get your black belt in 10 years? I'm hoping you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Versus somebody who's, let's say, 5'8", has been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
How would that go down?
In what situation?
So, so I'm talking like a genuine fight. So not as part of a competition. I'm talking like you just have to get into a fight.
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind these questions, by the way. I'm just intrigued.
So while Adam is thinking, I'll caveat to like the audience. So I've been doing Taekwondo for I'm 18 years this year. I'm a 3rd degree black belt. Adam, you've been doing it for
just over 20 years.
And
December 2002, I started.
And you are
recently had my 20th birthday.
Congratulations.
20th anniversary, yeah.
Yeah. And 5th degree black belt.
So, yeah. And your best result, European silver patterns?
Yeah, individual
degree?
silver medal in 4th to 6th degree patterns in 2018. And also same competition, a bronze in team sparring and a bronze in traditional sparring or pre-arranged sparring.
Pre-arranged sparring. Mm. Yeah. Whereas my best is top 32 3rd degree black belt patterns at World Cups. That's probably the best I've got. I would never class myself as international standard. I'm stuck in the middle between like national and international. That's where I'm stuck at the moment. And based on this week on Taekwondo, I've got a lot of work to do. I'm currently trying to change Chonji at the moment. So for those that do Taekwondo, that is the first pattern. And there's a small mistake that I have in my movement. So I'm having to go back to Chonji.
Yeah. I could probably look at a lot of people and tell them things they need to change on their Chonji.
And also to say that Adam is the technical committee for our organization. It's on the technical committee for our organization and an international umpire specifically. Mm-hmm. So he knows his stuff. But can he tell us the difference between a 5'8" with 30 years experience versus a 6'4" with 10 years experience martial artist in a fight?
Depends what they're fighting for.
Greg's a steak slice.
Then it's who's hungrier and whether either of them are vegan.
There are too many variables in this. Okay, they're fighting for their honour.
I would say so. It's interesting. At IICs, there's a grandmaster there, Grandmaster Lam, and I've just gone blank on what country he's from, but he is about 5 foot tall, and
sorry, 5 foot tall, not 5 something, 5 foot, maybe a bit more.
I don't know exactly. He might be a smidge over 5 foot.
Okay. Not a lot.
But no, he's not a tall man. He's
wow.
Fairly broad-shouldered, but quite slight. And he says, okay, we've got sparring and that's the thing, but then we've got self-defense and we've got fighting. And I will show you how I fight if you want me to. If you threaten me, my family, we'll forget Taekwondo and I will fight you, and I will win. It's like, okay, so it comes down, in a fight, it all depends on what you're fighting for as to how much intensity you're going to put into that and how willing you are to cause damage to someone else.
But that's quite interesting. So, but he's claiming that he's saying, "I will win." There's no
because he's saying if you insult me, if you insult my family, if you give me the reason to step in and fight. I'm not going to fight like a traditional Taekwondo person necessarily, but I will do. If you give me a reason to fight, I will fight tooth and nail, and I will beat you or I will die. Essentially.
Okay, this has got very dark very quickly.
So he's like, so I mean, he's not like he's normally quite a jovial.
He's
man,
hilarious.
But he's
absolutely.
He's
hilarious.
not a man that I would want to offend.
No, absolutely not. And what's interesting? So, do you know how old Grandmaster Lam is?
No.
So he said it at the Florida IIC that it was like he's 72.
Okay.
And he was there was a either 5th or 4th, couldn't quite see his belt, but he had stripes on. That was doing a lot of the stuff with him because he was the same height. But this 5th or 4th, probably was only maybe 5-6 years older than myself and you, sort of thing. So very sprightly and everything like that. And Grandmaster Land still was throwing him around like and he's probably half his age. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. He also came up with the funniest quote that I ever heard. This black belt asked when we're doing two-step sparring, do I step back or step forward into the guard after I finished my counter defense? Grandmaster Lamb said, "I'm dead. It doesn't matter." It's just like, yeah, that's true. It's a fair comment. It's like he likes to use the phrase, you're dead, or you're going to shoot him, sort of thing, and because that translation from English perhaps not perfect, but it comes across brilliantly, and you really get the impression of what he's trying to.
So, like, if you make an extra movement, it's like, you're too slow. Bang, you're dead.
Oh, okay, got it.
If you stay on one spot, bang, you're dead.
Yeah, got it.
It's like, okay.
I've got a whole bunch of questions, by the way. It doesn't just stop at that.
We'll try not to take quite so long to answer each of them.
No, it's fine. So, okay, so mixing things up a bit. You've got two people who have been studying. So somebody who's, so let's say at your level, Adam, and you said 20 years. You've been studying Taekwondo. Yep. So then you've got somebody that's done different martial arts and has competed professionally as a mixed martial artist. Mm-hmm. So they've either done sort of Bellator, MMA, whatever, UFC.
Yeah.
You two get into a fight. You're kind of the same build, same height. How would that go down?
So again, it comes down to why you're fighting, and that's going to. I'll put that get-out clause on the shelf.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's likely that someone who has trained MMA would beat someone who has purely trained ITF Taekwondo.
Okay. And
that comes down to the game of sparring, or the game of fighting, and the rule sets that we play to. So ITF sparring is a game you're trying to score points,
right?
And you're trying to, you're trying to make actions that score you points and pick up high value shots. That's not to say that, particularly at kind of World European Championships level, when you're hit, it doesn't hurt. But the objective of the game isn't to knock someone out.
Yeah, or break bones.
Yeah, and actually, for safety reasons, if you are the cause of someone not being able to continue to compete through injury or concussion or knockout, then you forfeit that match.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're sparring and you knock the other person out, and it's deemed that was due to your action and not theirs, then they win that match, even if they can't continue for the rest of the competition.
Right.
Whereas in MMA, it's full contact. So to win, you can knock someone out, or you can force them to tap out. So chances are, if you take just that experience and throw them on the street, then the fact that they are more used to delivering full power into their techniques and aiming to knock someone out, will probably carry over better.
What's interesting, a lot of UFC and MMA do have a traditional martial art backgrounds to begin with. And
they do, yes.
There's a lot of successful ITF Taekwondo martial artists in the UFC and MMA. It's every. If you separate out the traditional kind of Taekwondo side, which is all, there's a lot of like around etiquette, traditional patterns, and it's actual self-defense kind of motivation and elements that you have, and then you actually take it to like the competition side of things. It's all about understanding the game, right? And I'm sure Adam won't mind, but Adam was a very, 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 very good sparrer and beat people that were significantly bigger than you were. And I've sparred Adam on many, many occasions. I don't think I've ever beaten you in a competition. There's probably been some good training sessions that we've had where you're trying new things or something like that. And I hope you don't mind us saying, I am probably half a foot taller than you, maybe. give or take.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah,
I
maybe not quite that much, but a few inches,
yeah,
definitely a few inches. Yeah.
Yeah, probably 5'11".
On a good day.
Yeah. Whereas I stand at 6'3", and in theory, in a lot of sparring matches, I should have significant advantage. But you play to your strengths. I cannot move in the man and especially the sideways movement that Adam has is insane. I cannot move in those planes of direction. It doesn't work for somebody my height. Or it could do, but I don't train like that because I don't normally need to, because I'm normally the bigger person. Even Adam's wife, who also does Taekwondo, she's 5 foot. Is that on a good day as well?
4'11" and 3/4.
Yeah. So is that what the
official answer?
Is that the official answer? Right. And she's beaten me on many occasions as well, and I will happily admit it, because you play to your strengths and you move quickly. But I've also sparred my coach and instructor, who's 6'6", and I haven't beaten him because, again, you've got to learn strengths and weaknesses, and I need to be able to move on the planes that Adam perhaps can to beat him. And also, when you do get hit, it does quite often result in a knockout if you get it wrong, having been on that end of that stick.
Yeah, I think you underestimate your skill set, and I think that carries into a lot of your sparring. So yeah, I think you can do better than you believe you can.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And I definitely could do better than I currently can. So.
You're retired.
Exactly. Yes, I'm a little bit heavier and a bit heavier footed, and the endurance is nowhere near there at the moment.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
This is fascinating. So, okay, set in the context of like getting into a cage, so doing like a cage fight. So we're saying, I don't know, you have to fight for money, or it's a competition, but it's you just. You're not within
there's still some rule set.
There's still some rule set, but it's exactly. Yeah. So
you call that a knife? This is a knife.
This is a knife. And then you just pull out a gun. So
it's not a knife; it's a fork.
I've seen you played knife with spoon before.
Actually, it's a spork. So because I've always wondered. So who's the guy? Oh, I've forgotten his name. He wrote a book called Angry White Pajamas, and he's you know who I mean.
I've read the book.
Yeah, it's a brilliant book, isn't it? And he goes and studies Yoshinkan Aikido, I think, doesn't he? And that's what the riot police out there use. And then I've always wondered about this. So for example, and again, it'd be good to get your view as a professional, basically, just what. You have somebody that's part of the Japanese riot police up against somebody, for example, at your level Taekwondo, and they've got to subdue you.
Yeah.
You're attacking them, and their job is to subdue you. Now, clearly, if there's going to be 10 of them, then I'm talking about if it's just one-on-one.
Yeah.
How would that go
down? So that's actually, if you look at the early days of the UFC, that was what they did. Pretty much, they took people who were at the top of their combat sports and put them together. So you would have someone who did karate up against someone who did capoeira, someone who did judo up against taekwondo, someone who did sumo up against a boxer. And they had kind of.
I'd love to see that.
Kind of very interesting. That's very interesting.
There are clips about it. Or clips of it still out there. So that was the original setup, and then the Gracie brothers came along.
Yeah, Gracie.
And basically went, okay, well, yeah, you can stand and fight, but as soon as I get past that and I wrap you up, that's it, fight's over. So then everyone who was doing striking arts went, okay, right, I need a bit of wrestling or ground game.
Right.
So that I can at least get out and try and get back to my feet and take it back to a striking game. And then people who did wrestling or jiu-jitsu went, actually, I need a bit of striking to be able to safely close that gap to get to my strengths. So then UFC and MMA has become pure cross-training athletes. So you wouldn't go into a cage without some level of kind of wrestling and grappling and striking, or you're going to get found out very, very quickly. So as Dom was saying, there's been a few kind of ITF people that we know quite well. So the Shelley brothers, Adam and Ryan, both world champions in ITF Taekwondo. Both have been quite successful in MMA at the moment, but both took a considerable amount of time to work on their ground game and their grappling, so that they could bring that into those cage fights.
Okay.
So,
it's definitely the mixture, those that can multiple disciplines.
So So if you've got Aikido versus Taekwondo, well, it depends. If you get past that striking range and you get into grappling range, then it's going to favour Aikido. If the Taekwondo practitioner can cause that knockout before it closes to that range, or keep it at a distance, then it plays into the Taekwondo hands.
Interesting. Because and the other thing that I'm also fascinated by, because I watch it, I love watching it. So on NHK, which is the Japanese news network,
right,
they regularly show sumo tournaments. So I always watch Grand Sumo whenever it's on. I love it. I absolutely love it. It drives my wife and daughter insane. It's just like, it's the same thing every time. It's ridiculous. It appeals to me because I kind of think, if I could go out to Japan and just eat and just live off Greg's.
I've always
just keep bringing Greg's back. There's a Greg's theme going on here.
There is a Greg's theme going on here.
There is.
I've always wondered, Jerry, is it your life's purpose just to wind up your wife and daughter?
100%. Honestly, it is my reason for living. If I couldn't wind them up, there'd be no... Yeah, what would be the point of me even being around?
As we know, without purpose.
Yeah. So yeah, I spend most of my time and energy, mental energy, trying to come up with different ways of just winding them up.
Fair enough.
It makes me happy, and I'm happy, and that's all.
That's what we need in life.
That's what we need. It's all about my happiness.
Exactly.
But I watch that, and I'm fascinated by that. And actually, I think when we first started watching it, I think my wife sort of said, I just don't get this. And I said, well, yeah, but don't look at them for, don't just look at them and think, this is, you got to take them seriously. They are fit. They are strong as well, and they are fit.
I remember I saw a news article the other day about sumo wrestlers, and they were because people obviously criticize from the size and the weight in terms of what's that going to do for their body density and elements like that. There was definitely a news article where they did some comparisons, and they were sort of saying that sumo wrestlers are as fit it was healthy in terms of their I can't remember what it is, but the bad fat, the fat that kind of hangs around your organs and bits and pieces like that. They are as fit and as healthy as some athletes in other disciplines and professions, such as Olympic athletes and things like that. Now, obviously, different Olympic athletes are different things. An somebody perhaps that does archery is going to have a very different body composition to somebody that's cycling and somebody that rowing and things like that. But it's
a gymnast against a rower, against a cyclist, against a basketball player or a netball player. They're all going to have or a power lifter. They're all going to have incredibly different body types and body shapes, but they're all going to be super fit.
Yeah,
and
which then
it's interesting. It's an interesting point. That's why it's one of my favorite quotes. Is everybody's a genius, but not if you judge them by their ability to climb a tree, because a fish is never going to be able to climb a tree. Well, I could be wrong, but I'm sure somebody's going to find some tree climbing fish or something like that. And there we go. Sorry, Joe.
They're going to be people Googling this as they're listening to this.
Yeah, they're going to be like, what?
They're going to Google it. It's going to happen.
What are these three gents chatting about?
Yeah. You're gonna get a message from Laura when this airs. She's like, "Well, here's a fish that can climb a
Yeah,
tree."
I probably am.
So this leads neatly onto the question, which is, and this is my last question because it's great to get the answers to those different things, which I've always had in my mind, thinking, if you've got different abilities or different length of, abilities because of length of practicing an art, for example, and different statures and different arts themselves. But I kind of then think, if you've got a sumo wrestler, for example, that's, I don't know, 6'6", 6'8", weighs over 200 kilos, what can you seriously do against somebody like that? I mean, you go windmilling in. It doesn't matter what you do.
Get your keys out.
You get your keys out. Make it count. It doesn't matter what you're going to do. That sumo wrestler is going to be able to literally just pick you up and just lob you across the cage like a rag doll. They are next level, aren't they?
If he can catch you. That's the thing. So you'd have to then use movement and kind of go for that kind of death by 1,000 cuts approach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Or float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. So yeah, what you wouldn't want to try and do against a sumo is try and wrestle them.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
kind of leg kick, move away, leg kick, move away, leg kick, move away.
I've just employed the standard Dom tactic when I'm sparring. #run away. That's how it goes.
You got to hit first, then
no, just run away. Just run away. That's how I did. I've won sparring matches by just running away. I only need to hit them once.
You see, you got that hit first.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily. But I've got to hit. I've just got to be 1 point up, and then they don't score. That's just the way. That's the way that I do. Yeah. It's not whether it's.
I think you should try different things. I think you should float like a bee. I don't know, do butterflies.
I am a bit more float like a bee, sting like a butterfly, if I'm totally honest. That's how I judge me. Although, best joke ever about that, obviously, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, jellyfish, I'm nailing this. And then what's the other quote? Be like water. Water is shapeless. Jellyfish, freaking nailed that too. So, best martial artist known to man, jellyfish. So you don't even need to worry about the two quotes separately. Just be like a jellyfish. I'm sure there's also something about don't using your brain as well, which I'm pretty sure jellyfish should be like nailing that too.
Don't think, feel.
Yeah. Don't think, feel. No brain here.
Are we going full on Enter the Dragon with this now?
Don't.
Pretty much.
It's like a finger pointing to me.
No, we
don't look at the finger.
Yeah.
No, well, we've got one instructor who very much loves the quotes like that. He's brilliant, absolutely.
I love Enter the Dragon. I mean, that was groundbreaking. In its day, that was 70s, wasn't it, when that was released? And I don't think the world was quite ready for Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee was amazing.
73,
wasn't he? 73. Flipping it. Can you imagine 1973? That whole era of in that decade in the 70s, you had films like Enter the Dragon, you had films like The Godfather, you had Star Wars. These are all things that yeah. It's just mind blowing, really.
Terminator, was that 1980s?
I think that was 80s, wasn't it? Early 80s. I think.
If I had to guess, I mean, it's all well before my time.
It's a little bit late.
Yeah, don't rub it in.
yeah. Do you claim yourself to be an 80s baby? Yeah,
me. Yeah. Oh yeah, I am. So all 3 months of the 80s.
Oh dear. Cool. Is that all the Taekwondo related questions that you had at the moment, Joe?
Sorry, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for indulging me.
I mean, obviously, me and Jerry talk about these random. I get these questions randomly thrown at me halfway through, a 1-to-1 that me and Jerry are catching up on, and I just.
So who would win?
Except you normally phrase it. Would you beat this person in a fight? Well. Me particularly, probably not, but somebody of my experience that knew what they were doing, potentially. It depends, and it's like
So the distance here is bugging me, Tom.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, for quite a while, we had a thing in our squad that if Dom said anything unnecessarily negative about himself, we'd get to punch him.
Is it clocking up? Are you keeping a tab?
Well, during the pandemic, my coach had to write a book of Cockney's up, and it happened on Thursday. But because there were juniors in the class, he said you could just do 10 press ups. I was like, oh great, we'll be getting strengthening my arms back.
Sorry, we've got a session tomorrow, so I'll get some of these in, Dom.
Yeah,
actually, I do have one more question for you both. Actually, here's something. So, what would you say is, if you had to pick one thing that is common amongst everybody who practices Taekwondo, and you think, okay, that's, to be good, you have to have this one thing. What would that be? What would that one thing be?
Blimey, O'Reilly, Jerry.
Oh, come on. Look. and this is, I'm freestyling. I've done no prep for this one.
Yeah.
I would have quite liked a bit of prep on that one, because I would have liked a bit more time to think about the answer.
Yeah.
No, I want instinctual. I want.
So interesting. When we did the coaches conference a few years ago, and this comes out of the Irish coaching team, they've done like performance profiling stuff.
Okay.
So they've looked at, for different events, different weight categories and things, what are the characteristics that make up the top level competitors, and how important are they in relation to each other? And actually, the thing that gets you've got various physical skills and attributes, but discipline or dedication is going to be the one that actually sees people through. There's a saying out there, hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah. Okay.
So you need to be disciplined and dedicated to train hard, to rest properly, to fuel properly, to train smart, to compete at the right times, and those kind of things. And actually, doing that injury prevention stuff is going to prolong your career and give you a better chance of being successful in the long run.
You got to be able to do the tedious work
multiple times.
To be successful, you got to do the tedious work. But even if you take the casual martial artist, right? What makes them truly, in my opinion, become a martial artist? And I'm going to say something a little bit negative. Like even within martial arts, there can be a lot of politics. They encompass hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people that do these. So you still get people that you would go, you're not a very nice human being, in general, and even though they do martial arts, but they at least have done some kind of hard work in some respects to at least get to a certain level, right? Everybody has to have some sort of discipline to, whether that's the body to be more flexible, stronger, quicker, faster, even just learn the basic forms, right? Just because they haven't necessarily taken what I would call perhaps a little bit of the spiritual side. I think there's a little bit of element of that. Perhaps they haven't put that on their soul and actually taken, elements of, there's a Taekwondo oath within the ITF, within ITF Taekwondo, and the last line is build. No, I'm going to get this wrong, and I'm going to show the embarrassment. I can never remember the oath order. So you've got champion of freedom and justice, second last, and I will build a more peaceful world is the last one. And there are some people that perhaps don't actually take that on board, but they still have had some sort of dedication and discipline to at least get their body into a certain state, even if I think there's a few people that could do with improving their mindset to others.
Yeah. I mean, there's also just the discipline of not quitting. So, it takes you years to get to a black belt. In ITF Taekwondo, if you're training hard and you've got a level of aptitude, is a minimum of 4 years. of training multiple times a week. So, just continuing a hobby for that length of time shows a level of discipline when life gets in the way. So.
Our podcast hasn't reached black belt level yet, Jerry. We got another year and a half to go.
Blue belt.
How long's
blue belt?
How long's the podcast? How long's the podcast?
This is episode 21, so we'll be 2 years this year. So we'd be green belt.
So you get green belt in a year, so you're probably blue belt, red stripe.
Yeah. I'd say blue belt on the 2-year anniversary, which is about 3 months away. That's probably where I would put it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So fourth cup. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear, that's so good.
So I promise. Last thing on that, but I was just so Mori Washiba, who's the founder of Aikido, always said that whatever you do in any sort of a combative situation, if you do it with love, it'll be more powerful than doing that with hate, is what he said.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And what's interesting is, like, I would agree for that in competitions. It's why my mindset is not great for sparring, because I go in with I'm getting really deep now, because I go in the mindset, I hate this. I despise this. I don't like hitting people. I don't like being hit. But if you learn to play the game, and I'm starting to, it's why I've picked up perhaps things more like my one-step sparring, my freestyle, my self-defense, because I'm learning to love the game. I still don't like hitting people. I still don't like being hit, but I'm learning to love going, yeah, I scored that point, or, I love the competition element. And I am stupendously competitive. I don't show it, I promise. But Adam's seen it in action.
It seeps out every now and again.
Adam's seen it in action. And I agree. Like, because love can be just a very generic thing, but it can be anything to do from self-defense to, like, what am I fighting for? Grandmaster Lamb, like, particularly is hot on that. I fight for my family. I fight for my country, right? And you come after me, you're dead. But similarly, but actually just going fighting for, like, the love of the competition, the enjoyment of meeting new people. That's why I still do competitions after 15 years, and my success within competitions is not as high as I would like it to be. Not quite been able to translate training into, like, high level stakes environments, and what that means. But I love going. I've met some wonderful people from several different countries. Played many ridiculous cards, and you'll be intrigued to know now, dice games. So yeah, it grows, and there's a different kind of love in terms of, like, in that side of things.
Yeah. What
I'll have to. Master Lear taught us a new dice game.
Oh, so I played that one in Slovenia with Master Lear and some of the umpires.
Mr. DeVries apparently loves
good fun.
Yeah.
Lots of He's quite competitive as well, actually.
What was annoying, out of the 4 of us that were in Florida playing this dice game, the only person that didn't win a bloody round was me. And I came close, and then Master Lear pipped me, like, at the last minute, because he got, like, he got
just got on a roll.
He got a 3 1s, and then scored the 200, the next one that he needed. So despite being 1,000 points behind me, he still won. It's really annoying. But there was one game where he didn't even get on the scoreboard, so that was very entertaining. So the game is, Jerry, you have 3 dice, and a 1 is 100 points. A 5 is 50 points, but you have to at least roll a 1 or a 5 when you roll the 3 dice.
Right.
So you roll the dice, you score. You get one out of the 3. It's 100 points. You get you roll the next one. You roll a 50, and then it's like weakest link. You have to bank. If you don't bank and then you roll, like, I don't know, 2 6s and a 2, you lose those points that you've just had.
Right.
So it's a game of courage and risk amongst yourself.
And how are you feeling, lucky punk?
Yeah,
which I've learned I clearly don't. But the first round, you have to reach at least 500 points before you can bank. So you can go like 10 or 20 rounds and not get to that 500 points if your rolls are not successful. There are also like shortcuts, like if you roll 3 of the same number, so if you roll 3 6s, that's 600 points, but you have to roll again, and if you don't get a 1 or a 5, you lose those 600 points. So
got it.
It was surprisingly entertaining and competitive.
It's a nice simple game, which and you can play with big numbers of people, and the fact it is simple and there's no real skill involved.
Yeah.
Although some of the umpires will tell you differently. There is it's rolling a dice, it's luck, and because of that brings tension and
and there's different ways of playing it. So one of the masters that we worked with, Master Lear, who we mentioned, he seems to roll like repeatedly sometimes he'll suddenly get like 1,000 points. Oh, it's the first to 5,000, by the way. He'll suddenly get like 1,000 points and jump up the leaderboard. Whereas I found I was more successful like rolling just twice and getting like 150 points, and then just slowly, incrementally.
Slow accumulation.
We were looking at the bit of paper, and I had like this. Master Lear had like this, but we were on the same points, and it was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. But you have to hit 5,000 exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. If you go over,
you just kind of bust.
You bust.
Stay on. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you've got 4,500, you have to get 500.
Yeah. But you can get like 100, then 100, then 100, then 100, and bank each time. Yeah. But you're at more risk of people
if you go over,
people catching you up. So, so Master Dunn at one point was on 4,950. So he needed just a 5, just a single 5, and that took him. He did win it eventually, but it took him about must have been 8 or 9 rounds, where sometimes he'd roll like 2 5s, bust, no 5s, no numbers, nothing. A 1, that's a bust, because a 1 is 100. So these are the types of things that we do on squad trips outside the things we play card games and dice games, and that's where it gets arguably sometimes more competitive than the actual competition, which is a little bit depressing at times. So
Excellent.
Right.
Well, can I just say so, and I promise this is the very last thing. I take my hat off to you both, seriously. I'm in awe of somebody that has dedicated so much time and just, I'm in awe of your dedication and your skill and what you do. So to both of you, just wanted to say that.
Thanks
very
much.
I'm going to say nothing negative about myself. Just going to say thank you.
No, for God's sake, stop.
I was about to say, not that he's actually seen either of us perform Taekwondo. So
I think Jerry might have seen you might have seen a video of me.
No. I have seen a video. Yeah,
I think I sent that around post World Cup.
Yeah.
Cool. Where Miss Kennedy told me to take off my specs. Anyway.
They're not approved. They're not sports glasses.
Yeah, but she told me to take them off before I'd had a chance to read the board, and I was like, no, let me read the board and then let me take them off.
That's why you've got a coach.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, whoever's doing the equipment verifying should have told you to take them off.
Yeah. Yes. We won't comment on that one. Right, we'll have a little bit of fun, then we'll go into the other serious topic, which I think will probably take up a lot of our time, or maybe not. I don't know how it depends how it is, because I think it's very interesting, and I'd forgotten that Jerry wanted to ask the Taekwondo questions. So no, but it was all good. It's all good.
Thank you for indulging me both. Yeah.
Good. I could spend a whole day talking Taekwondo and martial arts and combat and stuff.
Awesome.
That's why we do it. Let's go on to probably your second favourite topic, which is food.
Might be the favourite.
I mean, so you've already given your opinions on like a lot of the stuff that we've done, and I was looking back, and we hadn't done many more. We've done 4 more. So I'd written them down, and we're just going to quick fire, right, on the ones that you haven't done. So, jacket potato, what do you have on it?
So either leftovers. So if I've got some leftover chili or bolognese, that goes really nicely. Or just standard So cook your jacket potato, mash some butter into the potato, bit of pepper, tin of beans, some cheese, bit more pepper.
Very, very British. Nothing that horrifies.
I gotta keep it simple. Is that's like your comfort meal. That is.
Is there nothing that
got to be good quality beans though? You can't go kind of value beans.
It's interesting with all these like money things. There are things that you can cheapen out on. More air quotes for our audio listeners. And I think beans is one of those things that you just can't.
I think it's the same as ketchup, isn't it?
I think ketchup you can get away more so with ketchup than beans.
Okay,
I find, but like chopped tomatoes, you can because that's just the base of a sauce.
If you're doing a spaghetti bolognese, the cheapest tin of tomatoes that I can ever find, and then nice expensive red wine to go with it. That's the way to do it.
Nice.
Interestingly, that was the best drink that I had in Florida. Was the red wine that I had on Sunday night. That was mint with my 20-ounce steak.
Bloody hell!
Which was done really well.
Nice.
Like I had a lot of complaints about American food, which I thought was just not. It was not adequate enough. But yeah, the 20-ounce steak and the
a glass of red,
Longhorn of red, as they called it, was lovely. It was a bit weird because like a glass of red, I'd imagine, if the glasses like that would have been like filled up with that, and then the Longhorn was just like they had another. It looked like a science beaker. There's no other word for it. It looked like a science beaker with a pouring thing, and I'm sure I'm going to get slated by Laura for saying it's the wrong thing, but it was just tall and thin with a pour, so it looked like a science beaker, but you could pour the whole thing into the glass. It was just like it's got that.
It's a carafe.
Carafe. Yeah,
that's the name for it. You get a carafe of wine. It was a carafe of coffee.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought carafe only related to wine.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you can get coffee as well.
Okay,
could be wrong.
Carafe of Lucozade. Could you do that?
I'm not sure I'd want to.
There's
you could and would you want to? There are two different things here.
Carafe of iron.
Ooh.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless.
The possibilities are endless, and today, this week, I did see your favourite Scottish BA in the office, Jerry, which was very entertaining to catch up with him. Need a translator sometimes. Best form of potatoes.
Oh, that's tough. I don't think I've come across an unacceptable form of potatoes. I think probably chip shop chips.
Oh yeah,
is a good form. But then I do also like the crunchiness of crisps. Baked potato. Yeah, just potato. just like an apple.
I don't think I could do that. Oh dear. I'm going to ask a subsequent question. I don't think you've answered this yet, Jerry, either. So this is a bit left field for you as well. Which is better, normal potatoes or sweet potatoes?
Normal.
Context dependent.
Oh, you got away with that.
No, I quite. So sweet potato fries with the right meal, really tasty, but they're really hard to do to get them nice and crispy and just not end up with a pile of mush. Sweet potato and so mashed potato, combining the two, so regular and sweet potato, really nice.
Oh, not done that.
On top of like a shepherd's pie or something. It's good.
Interesting. No, so
they do tend to have a higher water content, so you've got to be careful how long you boil them for if you are mashing them.
Yeah, so it's interesting the recipes that I've been doing where I've been cooking, like it's been normal potatoes for ages, and just randomly this week I got 3 with sweet potato in. Like never had them before. Suddenly 3 in one box. I was like, okay. Apparently, they've obviously got a surplus of sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato week,
because that's what they offered to me. And what's interesting is the wedges for normal potatoes are normally 35 minutes at 200, whereas the wedges for sweet potato were at 220, but only 18 minutes. And they come out the same, exactly the same, like texture.
Doneness.
Texture is probably the best way to put it. But clearly it needs the higher temperature to like go
crisp it up.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's like semolina flour they use on sweet potato fries to get them nice and crispy and crunchy.
Yeah. Well, this was a drizzle of oil, although I kind of cheat. They always say stick it on a baking tray, then drizzle a bunch of oil on it, and then mix it around. And I'm like, that's just a faff. You chop it up, put it in a mixing bowl, then drizzle the oil, and then kind of do that.
Then spin it around. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm learning these things as I'm learning how to cook. I'm not. I'm at the stage now where I don't feel like I'm a complete moron when it comes to cooking.
Sweet potato is much better for you as well, apparently.
Apparently, I think it depends what you're after. So I think sweet potato counts as a 5 a day. I could be completely wrong on that.
Yeah, something to do with the fibre in it, and just the nutritional content is better.
Yeah. It is higher calorie.
Sweet potato, yeah.
Is it?
It may well have. It's sweeter, of course. It's going to have more sugars and stuff in it. But that doesn't, just because it's higher calorie doesn't mean it's worse for you. So as you say, the vitamins, minerals, and stuff in there may offset that.
Yeah. Weird. Not sure.
But the other thing is, I can't remember the last time I peeled a potato. There's no point.
No, you don't need to.
Just scrub it and eat the skin. With a lot of fruits and veggies, a lot of the goodness is actually in or just under the skin.
I do like potato skins.
So even in mashed potato, just adds a bit of extra texture.
True.
Saves you time.
Usually, if you order a cold cannon or something in a restaurant, you'll have the skin on the potato. Yeah. I'm with that.
Yeah. All the HelloFresh recipes that I have, it just says cut them, drizzle them in oil, salt and pepper into the oven, done. Yeah. So
boil them, mash them, stick them in the stew.
Boil them, mash them, stick it in the stew. Potatoes. Everybody needs a Sam.
That has been in my head since I opened up the notes that you made. It said best form of potatoes.
What's brilliant is we've already mentioned Samwise.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in the stew.
We've already mentioned Samwise this podcast, so that's just am I saying that Samwise is a wonderful person, but is short and like a hobbit? Yes, I am. That's exactly what she is. Yes. You'll laugh at this next one. Are condiments acceptable? and Adam will laugh because he knows the same person that I know that finds them completely offensive.
They are, however, they shouldn't be taken directly. So it is unacceptable to just take a ketchup and mayonnaise sachet, put them together, open them, and just squeeze them directly into your mouth. That is entirely unacceptable. Even when doing so to annoy someone else, that's unacceptable.
Jerry looks horrified there.
I am horrified. That's horrible.
Yes, it is. So this was. Someone found. I'm not going to put names in, but these people will know who they are. Someone found out that someone was disgusted by condiments. So basically went, I'll grab a couple of packs of those, open them up, and just like a fruit.
Like a fruit. Absolutely.
Love it.
Like a fruit. That is mad.
I've started a campaign called Respect the Bacon.
Right.
Okay. So, and this links into the conversation that Dom and I had last podcast, which is if you're going to have a bacon sandwich, you just have white bread, butter, bacon, job done. Because if you put ketchup or brown sauce or anything else on it, it interferes with the lovely flavours. And particularly the lovely flavour of the bacon. So you have to respect
interfere
the bacon.
Or enhance.
No, you can't. How can you enhance perfection?
So the bit of sweetness in the tomato ketchup brings out that saltiness of the bacon. So I don't go butter. I go a bit of ketchup on a bacon sandwich. Brown sauce if it's a fry up, but ketchup if it's a bacon sandwich.
Okay.
So no butter, bread, bit of ketchup, bacon sandwich.
Okay.
Maybe a fried egg in there as well.
Yeah, no, fried egg definitely. Yeah.
Sorry, I get carried away with food.
Do you mind if we just pause?
Yeah, I've just heard.
Did you hear Larry?
Yeah, Larry. I can hear Larry.
You can hear him. He's an absolute giant douche. I'll be back. I've got to let him out. Sorry.
We can carry on a little bit while Jerry is dealing with the dog. So, just for context, Jerry's effectively on his own at the moment, and he has a golden retriever called Larry. Who, as you heard, is as he refers to him, is a massive goofball. So yes, with a very sensitive stomach, apparently, which is interesting. But he also has, and I'm going to say it wrong deliberately because it's funny. He has a chihuahua called Belle, which is actually his daughter's. But I believe his daughter is out at work at the moment. So he lovingly refers to Belle as Taco Bell because that's about the size that she is, of the size of a taco. And we were questioning whether we would cut different bits, but this is the podcast. Life happens, stuff happens, and things like that. And both, like I said, myself and Adam, we were witness to this condiment blasphemy.
Yeah, so fortunately I wasn't there.
Oh, were you not?
I've just heard the stories many times. I'm very glad that I wasn't there.
I'm sure it was was it a summer camp?
I think so.
I'm 99% sure.
Well, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah.
While we wait for Jerry,
no, I don't need a demonstration.
No.
If said person is listening to this.
Oh dear. The last one, while we wait for Jerry, then, is having meals at the wrong time because Jerry's not on board on this.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, bowl of cereal for dinner. Leftovers for breakfast. Yeah, crack on.
Whatever you want.
Yeah. So, food at any point is good. is my view. Pretty. I'm not going to judge you for what you're eating or when. I still remember a few years ago at the Holland Cup. I'm not sure if I was sparring. No, I think I was sparring that year, but weighed in the night before. And it was just on the competition floor eating a cereal bar. Tim Cool comes up to me, sees me, and goes, "Hey, are you always eating?" I'm like, "No." So yeah, I've got a reputation of constantly eating, which isn't entirely without truth.
No, we'd have to ask your wife that, wouldn't we?
So I'm generally either eating or hungry.
I mean, I think a vast majority of males can attest to that. We don't have moods. We're just hungry.
Yeah. So yeah. No, there's knowing that it would annoy people. I'm tempted to get a bowl of cereal. And just sit here eating a bowl of cereal just to annoy Jerry.
I mean, to be fair, I only had breakfast a couple of hours ago.
I won't, because I mean I can imagine me crunching through a bowl of Golden Grahams is probably going to cause a bit too much feedback. But...
Yeah, there's only so many certain miracles that I can work with audio when I'm editing this one. I've been looking at our bars recently, and mine is still peaking, so I've got my mic a little bit too loud. Adam, I don't think yours has got up halfway. So yeah,
really?
No. You don't need to. You don't need to. You don't need to change anything because increasing volume is fine. Decreasing volume, there's a point where you just end up with a flat line because it peaks and hits the limit, so you don't get the troughs. At least I can enhance the peaks and the troughs if they're small enough, but you can't do that. And there you go, folks.
I was going to say I'll just have to swallow the microphone.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so gutted in the last podcast when things mucked up. On the listen back, I couldn't enhance it enough where you could hear me go, the certain Amazon product, "Are You Alive?" after I just knocked over an entire glass of water over it, just as Jerry returned from his internet cutting off. So yeah, we definitely had that. And then one more thing I'd forgotten to ask, just so we can annoy specifically Laura, because that's going to make my day.
Right.
Tomato ketchup on peas.
Tomato ketchup
Yes.
on peas? No, I probably wouldn't.
Have you ever done it?
No. I probably have. And actually, if you've got garden peas, having some sort of condiment just helps you to cook them up. Because the worst bit about peas is the fact you can get about 2 on a fork at any one time. But on the flip side, mushy peas is where it's at.
Oh, I do like mushy peas.
So I did some homemade mushy peas the other day, actually.
What was that part of?
What did you go? I actually, bizarrely, went with some Indian food we've done. So I did, because Jen always complains that we don't have enough veg. So I was like, what have we got in the freezer? Oh, we've got some garden peas and some frozen spinach.
Nice.
So I did mushy peas, bit of butter, some mint, and then also threw in some spinach and mixed that through. It actually surprisingly went quite well.
Oh, that sounds really good. That sounds really good. No, Jerry is a big.
We've gone from a fight chat podcast to a cooking podcast.
Welcome to the Distinct Jovial podcast.
Yeah, who's going to be listening to all of this?
Well, this is the interesting thing, right? So, just to context, Jerry, I just asked Adam's opinion on tomato ketchup on peas, which is on garden peas is a must. A must.
Oh yeah.
We're just gonna have to say that you're wrong, Laura. I'm afraid.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't object to someone doing it. I don't find it offensive, but it's not for me.
Which I think is fair. But yeah, on the context of the podcast, it was like, how do we increase our numbers? And it's like, oh, you need to have a clear, defined what your podcast is about. And I'm like, rubbish.
Nope. Anything and everything.
Yeah, but the podcast that I've kind of taken inspiration from, and which I've been listening to, there's been a couple of times I'm like, well, how did we get onto this subject? Where are they going with this? And actually, that's the best way that I want to define our podcast is a conversation. And some of the compliments that we've had from people that they've said is they like to put it on the background, and it's just like having a couple of friends in the room with you, just chatting about absolute rubbish. My mum despises it, but that's a different matter.
A lot of the podcasts that I listen to are that kind of 2 guys talking or 3 guys talking. They're just rambling away.
Yeah, 2 Bears podcast. What's good? What else? Ones like that are ones that are really, really interesting. We perhaps lack the American flair, I think, is what we probably lack. Cool.
So, sorry about that, by the way.
That's right. No, I'd like to point out we're keeping that in, Jerry, by the way, completely keeping that in because we carried on and we gave some context into why you can hear.
Although now you're back, I'm going to go disappear and bring back a bowl of cereal for my lunch.
Fair enough.
Meals at different times.
I was hoping that was going to get more of a negative reaction.
No, I can't. Actually, lunch isn't too bad. I think if we were recording this at dinner time, it's night time, and if you said that, I think I'd probably have a more violent reaction.
A nice pre-bed bowl of cornflakes. That's a little bedtime snack. There we go. That's what I want.
Do you want me to go full on Austin Powers with this?
You can't do.
How about no?
How about no? That's genius. That is amazing.
I do have on my phone. Dom will probably appreciate this. Somewhere in my screenshots.
Oh dear.
I've got too many screenshots. No. Downloads folder.
The Pope of Nope.
lives on my phone just in case.
That's like having the Uno reverse card in your wallet to just play that on something.
Yep. Yep, that lives on my phone. I think I need to shortcut it onto the home screen.
Well, I want to just carry it with you. Just just carry that in your wallet and just be like, just slap that on the table. So, have you played Exploding Kittens, Jerry? Right. No. So, oh god, this is probably one of the best games that we've played and that we have. It's very competitive. So, Exploding Kittens is it's by the guy who writes the comic The Oatmeal, and it's a bit. I mean, you could. I don't know if you could see it. I don't know how blurry it is, but the Pope is giving you the bird, so it's like this. I might try and blur that out if possible on when I do it. But yeah, and excellent. The card game is you have a stack of cards in the middle, and there's loads of different cards. There's like nope cards, reverse cards, shuffle the deck, see the future, things like that. And within the
draw four,
within the deck there are kitten bombs, exploding kittens, basically. And you get 7 cards to begin with. And it's not to get rid of your cards. The more cards you have, the more power you have. Your cards are your power. And to end your turn, you take a card. You have to take a card to end your turn. And if you take an exploding kitten, you explode and you die and you're out the game. But obviously there's mitigations. There's a defuse card that you might get that you always start with 1, but you might be able to pick up another one as you go through the deck. And, you can also...
You can steal them from other people.
You can skip your turn. You can reverse. You can draw from the bottom rather than the top. So if, for example, you pick an exploding kitten and then, you get to then put... If you survive, because you've got a defuse card, you get to put that exploding kitten in the deck somewhere else. So you could slap it on the top, and the next person immediately picks up that one, or you could put it at the bottom of the deck. There's a lot of
Sounds really
it's a
good.
really good game, very competitive because it's not just. There's a bit of skill as well as luck.
And a lot of sabotage.
Yeah, which we all love. You can't beat a bit of sabotage. When the whole purpose of the game is to stitch somebody up, it's brilliant, especially if you secretly all bully one person.
Yeah. I think the best one was someone exploding kitten, diffused it, and then counted.
We know who this is.
Stitched that person up. And it went round, and they'd somehow miscounted and picked up the same exploding kitten themselves.
We know who this is. We both know who this is. She's a wonderful person, but she's a little bit blonde.
Yeah, that was great. They were like, "I counted." There was no skips or anything. It just
she's a very very stereotypical blonde. She's very clever, no common sense.
Yeah, just has those kind of moments.
Very funny, very very funny. But one of those cards is a nope card. So if somebody plays a card like I want to skip my turn, anybody around the thing can play nope.
Yeah, nope.
And there's all of them have pictures on it. Which the first time I got it out, nobody did anything for about 20 minutes because they were just reading the pictures. Because you got things like the shy bladder cat, the bikini cat, the see the future goat, and things like that. But there's
they were some of them were like funny little sayings and things on them as well. That one says the Pope of Nope has spoken.
The Pope of
and
Nope.
So we sometimes we want to carry it around a bit like a how to call it like an Uno reverse card. If somebody pulls you, an officer pulls you over, you just play your Uno reverse cards, like my officer sort of thing. So we've definitely had a lot of fun with that.
That was a bit blurry. I've just found another one.
Yeah,
Awaken the Narnope.
The Narwhal of Nope.
Oh my God, the Narwhal.
So perhaps next time I'm up in Southampton, Jerry, for in the office, I will have to bring that with me, and maybe that's a lunchtime thing.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to try it. It sounds brilliant. It sounds fun. I like that.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It does remind me of something I saw years ago. Somebody had printed out some business cards that just said the business, really nice, beautifully done. But on the card it just says, "I don't like you. Just walk away quietly." So you can say to somebody, "Oh, let me give you my business." Like you can chat to somebody and then just go, "Let me give you my business card." And depending on which pocket you pull it from, you can get one of those and just hand it to them and go, oh, okay.
I've seen that before, but it's for somebody who was like 6'10", and somebody goes, "Wow!" and they pull it out, and it just goes, "Yes, I'm tall. How tall am I? 6'10". Did I play basketball? No. How's the weather? Lovely.
Excellent.
So yes.
Well, actually,
he's got some cards that he just
proper
pulls
cards
out.
made up.
Yep.
That is genius. That's genius.
And as somebody that suffers a little bit from being too tall, and having met a few people for the first time this week.
Oh, it's just every single time people say, "Oh, I didn't realise you're so tall, Dom." Okay, here we go. I have to go through this routine again.
I am sat at the desk that I sit at for work, and as you can see, like the back of my chair is quite high. You know, it's sort of here. But the thing is after about 20 minutes of work, I'm normally a bit like this. I'm sat down in my chair, and the webcam points.
Yep. And by about 2 PM, I'm sure it's kind of all the way down here.
So because my webcam is higher than me, you know, it's on top of my monitor. I don't look short, but I don't look tall. And a few people that I've met recently, you know, they don't reach the 6 foot club, and I'm 6'3", so they come up to me and I mean, the best reaction was one of the folks from work turning around and going, he just went, "Fucking hell, you're taller than I expected." Like, wasn't any pleasantries, just walked up to me and was like that.
No hello, nothing.
Yeah, just like that. Yeah.
Straight to the point.
No, no flim-flam here. I haven't got time for that. Right. Let's go on to the other topical events, is that we've had that bit of break. And I'll caveat this to the audience. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit around jobs and bits and pieces like that. And both Jerry and Adam are kind of prepped and they know they're going to talk about it, but they are free to talk as much or as little as they want about their feelings because this is a public domain. So no idea how this is going to go, but we're just going to kind of generally do it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that I'm going through as well, but in terms of making sure I don't lose my job, but while also being open and honest to like the different pressures that you get at different stages. So, and also while we're sort of, we say that we're never going to say where we work and things like that when we won't, but you know, if you did enough research about myself and Jerry, you probably could figure it out. But please we won't be saying it on the podcast specifically, while also we're more going to talk about perhaps levels and bits and pieces like that. So,
Dom, I don't think MI6 are going to be pleased about the fact that we're.
You'll laugh. I do know people that work for some of the not MI6. Obviously, they can't reveal that, but I know some people that work for the other one. They're definitely within the UK. So,
MFI.
No, what is it? Is GCHQ? I think it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I do know a few people that work there, so they obviously can't say who they are, and I'm not going to say who they are. So I'm not that stupid, or that brave.
It's just here and knock.
How did you get?
I've not released the podcast yet. How do you?
What the fringe? I've not had one of them today. So, context. So, Adam, do you want to just explain like what you've done this last year?
Yeah. Yeah, so I, full background in case people haven't listened to the first podcast. So I'd recently left a job that I'd been in for about 10 years straight out of leaving uni. It was an office job and became a self-employed personal trainer working in a commercial gym. So with that, there's 3 shifts a week where you're cleaning the gym and running classes and doing inductions and that kind of stuff. But the rest of the time, you're there to build up your own client base for people to pay you for your personal training services, which I did alongside teaching Taekwondo in the evenings and lasted about a year of doing that, and then looked back on my finances and went, it's not really working out. And also, it's not a great time for people to be trying to get face-to-face personal training for various reasons that I'm sure everyone is aware of, people aren't looking at spending additional money, or people are looking at where they can cut back as well. So I think also with like lockdown, you've got lots of people who have bought fitness equipment, or lots of people who have got used to doing small workouts at home and gone, do you know what, just for general fitness, yeah, I can keep doing that. And also found out a bit about myself in terms of, or more about myself, and I was like, I know what I need to do to give myself better chances of picking up more clients and therefore making it a financially viable business, but they sit too far outside of my comfort zone that actually the say that cost of doing it in the short term outweighed the potential gain from having done it. So I was like, okay, I've tried, I've got the qualifications, and I'll keep kind of them current as best I can, so that in the future, should things change, if we hit a gold patch financially across the country, then it might be something that I'll look at.
I'm trying to buy a house, so I'm trying to buy a house, so trust me.
Yeah. So I made the decision. So it was partly that. It was also working in that kind of industry. It can be quite difficult to get time off. And actually, it was like, for one person to have time off, someone has to cover their shifts for them. It's not like in an office job, if you want 2 weeks off over Christmas, you just say, I'm having 2 weeks off over Christmas. Or if you're like, I need to take a week out to go and umpire at this competition, and your boss goes, well, have you got any deadlines there? No. Okay, make sure you say you're out of office and jobs are good.
While being paid for it as well.
Comes with, exactly. And also So when I went to the World Cup, I missed 3 or 4 shifts, which I got paid for, kind of minimum wage holiday pay for those, but all the few kind of private clients that I had, so I didn't get paid for them because I wasn't doing those sessions. So that desire for or the ability to kind of go on holiday when I want, or go to competitions, and also the steady budgetable salary actually was appealing. Had a look online. It's just like, okay, well, what might be out there? And I saw that the group of the company that I had left were actively recruiting. So I was like, well, okay, well that's. So I was like, well, I did leave for certain reasons, and I spoke with, sort of still in contact with a few members of that team that I was in, and they said, okay, some things have changed, some things are still the same. I was like, you know what, on balance, it seems like it's worth the punt going back there. I know it's a job that I can do and I can do well, and actually some of those major stresses had gone. And also I'd had that opportunity to go, right, let's give it a go. Let's try the personal training. Okay, that hasn't worked. So it's not like I've gone, I want to do that, but I'm not brave enough to try. So in 30 years' time, when I look back, I'm going, do you know what? I gave it a bash. It didn't work at that time. Rather than living with that, well, like what could have been, sort of thing. So yeah, I'm now, I think I interviewed in November time, and I'm now 3 weeks in, due to various delays of getting started there. But yeah, now back to I've gone back full time rather than part time because I'm not competing anymore. So that's been a bit of a shock to the system. I've not actually done a proper full time job since 2015. I was part time since then, pretty much middle of 2015, and teaching Taekwondo 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah, very different. Very different.
Wow.
And then sleeping on the weekends.
Yeah.
So I wasn't. So thank you for sharing that, and I wasn't expecting that. Do you know that I was really looking forward to hearing the story, and you've just completely out of climax. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I wasn't expecting that. That's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, a bit of a learning journey. Good times, good experience. As I say, I'm glad I did it. Although having gone back, actually, some of the terms and conditions have changed since I was there. So I worked out I've lost out on about 7 days holiday a year, because of the favourable terms and conditions that I was on for having been there so long. I was like,
you haven't got the continuity of that,
of service,
And Jerry, do you want? I suppose I'm going to kind of compare this. So do you want to? Obviously, I know you don't want to reveal too much about your job, but I suppose perhaps your seniority, I suppose, journey that you've gone through this year would be since spoke.
Yeah. So I'm just going to focus on one aspect of it. I think I can't really go into the reasons why I made the move too much, I suppose, apart from... So I went from a position... Actually, okay, so let me set some context behind this. So I'm now 50, and last year... thank you very much indeed. It's filters. I've got filters.
Did your daughter teach you how to use
those? Yes, she did. If you take the filters off, I look like Yoda, but a non-green version. So I made a decision last year that I have to think about what is my career going to look like for the next 10 years. So I don't really want to be... I thought I'm going to have to start with setting a target. What's that target going to be? Target's going to be, I don't want to be working in a corporate environment. I need to get off the corporate hamster wheel at the latest at 60. So any job that I do after that, I want it to be something enjoyable, like, I don't know, working in Waterstones or working in a cafe or just doing working in a garden centre, just something a lot less stressful, something a bit different. So that was the goal. Then I worked back from there, and so my role beginning of last year, was I was looking after a team of roughly 50 people.
I think you're being hard. To put it in perspective, I'm right in saying you're one level off a director of. Yes.
I was reporting to a director.
Very, very senior.
Pretty senior.
I think the term they use is capability lead, but you're effectively head of, right? You're within that, within that. I'm happy to reveal a little bit more that I'm where I'm a coder or was a coder. Jerry's equivalent was the head of engineering. The next level above is director of engineering. So, Jerry was at a very, very senior level. Sorry, carry on. I think you do yourself a disservice. I think sometimes we'll swap those around.
Well,
I think very highly.
I mean, I'll never. Thank you. I know you do, and I don't think highly of myself at all. But I decided, look, I need to learn a trade. You don't know what's going to happen. I need to learn something that I can take it to the market, and people will say, oh yeah, we need one of those, whatever that happens to be. So I changed role and took a pay cut, and that was an interesting journey. So I'm now learning a whole new area. I mean, it's not completely from scratch, because I've worked in I don't know how much detail we can go into.
I think I think I can help you out, because I know that you're gonna. I thought this would be a struggle, because we want to keep an anonymity and things like that around what we actually work on, and I'm happy to be open a little bit more area. So I suppose the equivalent is going from head of engineering to an engineer. You're back on the ground.
Yes,
and
yes,
while you've also shifted left a department, not in engineering. You've worked with those job titled people before, so to speak. So you have experience of things.
So you've had that outside experience, but now you've watched people do that job, but now you're actually.
Well, I've actually worked in the teams with people that were doing that job, but in a different capacity. Actually, when I first joined the organisation, so it's a whole part of the business that I know very well.
So
I've operated.
You've gone through the business up,
but haven't actually done it hands on yourself.
Haven't done it hands on myself in this role. Yeah, exactly that. So, and I'm loving it. And the primary motivator was I just needed to reduce my stress levels. So it was a risk. I took the risk. It's actually turned out to be a lot better. So I had high hopes. And it's turned out to be even better than what I'd expected and what I'd hoped for.
Awesome.
Which is amazing.
And I can attest to that, having, myself and Jerry have, before this podcast, this podcast has been going for a year and a half. So this was right during Jerry's journey. And actually, it's kind of also been right during your journey as well, Adam. But myself and Jerry catch up once a week. I use air quotes in our one-to-ones. We have a catch up. Like, let's not do the corporate speak. But the important thing for me is what's interesting is we used to always ask. We ask each other how we are, and we always just have a phrase, "Oh, what a week!" And Jerry's response would be, "I'm knackered, right? This has come up. This has come up. That's stressful. This is stressful." But the other thing that's been quite interesting is Jerry's switched roles, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, Jerry, but you still come to me and go, "I'm knackered, but good knackered. I've done nothing but learn this week, and I'm enthused. I'm vigorous, but I'm freaking knackered still." That's the only thing that's consistent. Jerry's still tired.
Any state, even when I'm on holiday, I'm tired. It doesn't matter. I'm just in a perpetual state of tiredness.
We said while you were sorting out Larry and Taco Bell that.
AKA giant douche turd sandwich.
We were saying as you were doing that generally men don't have moods. We're just hungry, but I think we're either hungry, tired, or happy. That's it. Oh, actually, maybe there's a fourth mood, horny. That's it. That's the moods of men.
As if it is hangry.
Hungry. That's just an extreme version of hunger when you let it go too far.
Yeah, true. True.
Yeah. But there is that difference between kind of that productive tiredness from having been busy and experiencing a lot, and that frustrated weariness of like
perfect.
I've just had to deal with this and this and this and this, and I just can't do it anymore.
Exactly that. Yeah.
There's that kind of, I am knackered, but look at what I've achieved. That kind of satisfied kind of tiredness.
And it's very interesting, like listening to this, because, if you had just heard about your stories, you'd be like, people would turn around and say, I'm going to be harsh, and bear in mind that I love you both, and I think you're both legends, but it sounds like I'm going to use air quotes again, you've given up to a certain extent, right? You've taken a step back. But I actually find this more admirable than anything, and I'll explain this in kind of a couple of ways. But effectively, what you've done is you've conceptualized what is the most important thing to you, right? So for yourself, Jerry, that's, I don't want to die from stress, right? That's probably a fairly accurate thing. We don't want to, you want to, support your family and bits and pieces in the right way in a personal thing. And okay, we talked, I'm very happy that you kind of both mentioned money, because although the world is not in a great state, there's still a line where you can say, like money stress is in itself a thing, and that's perhaps what, in a non-selfish way, you need a certain amount of money to survive, which I think, if I'm right, Adam, is probably where you got to the point. It's like, yes,
it's definitely one of the strands.
And then there are other bits as well, like that flex. Sometimes a 9 to 5 has more flexibility and freedom than any other job.
Yeah. I think one of the big lies of being self-employed is, you work when you want to work. So no, not really. Like, depending on what you do, if you're self-employed in a service industry like personal training, you work when people want you to work. Yes, okay, you can to some extent say, well, no, I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. to train a client. But just because you want to do your sessions throughout the day doesn't mean people want to train then. So yeah, there's that thing of, you know what, an office job, and particularly if they offer flexible working or flexible hours, can have much more flexibility.
It's ironic, isn't it?
It's true. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Dom, about kind of understanding like priorities and what you want in life. And it's like, you know, okay, I need to be financially secure and stable. You know, I've got half a mortgage to pay and bills to pay. You know, I can't fully rely on the generosity of my wife to do that. You know, but also I've never felt the need to chase money and like, I need the best clothes and the best car and this needs to be best. And I was like, I don't know, that like climbing up that corporate ladder so far, it's like, well, that seems like a lot of energy and stress involved in doing that. But for what? A car is a car.
It's the best advice I ever got when I was going through my career was, I've never been very good at knowing what I wanted to do, but the thing that people always said is, what are you willing to sacrifice? So, you know, it shouldn't be what makes you happy, it's what are you willing to sacrifice. So if you want to be a CEO and own a business and make millions and millions of monies, then I did say monies, but I money. Money is plural, like sheep, I believe. You need to be willing to do 80-hour weeks. You know, not spend time with the family, not be fit. Now, how many CEOs do you see, apart from maybe the ones for like Gymshark and maybe the fitness industries, but how many CEOs do you look at and go, yeah, they could run a marathon, or they could, you know, and obviously there's a cruelty in context here, but in terms of like your health, you know, they quite often have big waistlines and things like that, and bits and pieces. So because they've had to sacrifice the hours to get there and things like that, and there is a freedom and flexibility and lack of stress, I think, sometimes from air quotes 9 to 5. You know, actually, because of a 9 to 5, I don't miss school or college. Everyone told me when I was younger, you'll miss this, right? I miss some of the friends that I used to see every day. I say some I don't miss. You know who you are. But at 5 p.m, like, if you've got the right mindset, I'm going to caveat that with the right mindset because I know I don't at the moment, but if you've got the right mindset, you shut that lid at 5 p.m, you don't care. You don't give a monkeys about it. And you can really do that. Now, myself and Jerry, I think the quote that we've used is, we're too empathetic. Is definitely what I would say. And that's where I think you probably struggled a little bit with the 73 people that you had to deal with.
Yeah, and I think the type of job that is, if you're that emotionally invested, actually that's a bad thing. If you really care about people, it works against you in that role. Whereas in the role that I'm in at the moment, it works fantastically well.
It's a perfect role for you, by the way.
Yeah, and that's what people have said. And now I've seen it in practice and thought, oh, actually, I'm applying it. I'm getting really good feedback. This is spot on. So it's a lot more fulfilling. Whereas before, the expectations within my role were different. So actually being too emotionally invested and caring about the people too much is actually, like I say, in certain circumstances and for certain situations, it could work against you. Not because of the people themselves, but just for, you know, in the broader context.
Because of what you want to put in to feel like you've done the best job you can for those people you're responsible for. Yeah. I would say I see that on a daily basis, being married to a teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, whose hours at the moment seem to be 24/7. and she's particularly a very emotionally invested person, deeply caring to a fault, and will sacrifice her own well-being to support others.
Yeah, it's a really interesting kind of dynamic around like how we kind of no, I can't say that word, and I've just tried to say it on a podcast, and that's awful.
Compartmentalize.
So yeah, it's that level of knowing how to set your own boundaries, right, and also knowing what you need. Like, so I think it's fair to say, Jerry, I'm 2 levels behind where you were. I've made that step in the last year and a half to be
1.
2.
Oh, maybe it's structured differently.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now.
Yeah, because you only had 1 layer, and then you had people on the ground.
Yes, I was going to say
you had capability, lead, and then nothing.
Lead.
Whereas we have capability / head of, manager, lead.
Yes.
So
because that's what threw me. I was thinking, hang about. No, you're only 1. Right. Yeah.
So I'm on that journey, right, to effectively where probably where you were 20 years ago, Jerry, because you were on that journey similar, within this organization, and and similar to you both. While I haven't made the drastic steps forward or backwards, the learnings that you can do in a year and learning where your boundaries are, and very simple things like, and I said I was going to say this because I think it really emphasizes who you can be, and actually, about all that the side of kindness that I really like. One of the things I've realized, especially with having my end of year review in the last week, perfect timing. I need somebody every now and then to say, "You're doing a good job." Right. And that's, and I say that I always, whenever I say it in my head, I always think I sound weak, but actually I do need every now and then someone to say, "Hey, that was really good." And not in a non, it needs to be authentic. It needs to be genuine, genuine, sincere, like, "Hey, that was really good. Really appreciate it." But if there is that, please do say it. And I've realized that's for everything. It was, it's been a real, how to say it, confidence hit for myself in terms of the last 6 months where, certain things have happened inside and outside of life and work, inside and outside of work for myself. Inside and outside of life.
Of life.
Yeah. I was like, like Grim Reaper is an old buddy of mine. Hades, no, I had a beer with him last week. Very sassy. But the point being is the last. Sorry, I always come up with phrases like this.
Hercules Hades, right?
I always come up with phrases like that, and that's my boo. Sorry, that's why I like this podcast. But the point being is, I realized, even outside, the last time somebody went, "Hey, that was mint," I was like, "Yeah, great, thanks." It's always been, "No, need to improve this, need to improve that, need to improve that," and it gets you down, and as you go up to different levels, I've realized that is going to become less frequent. And it's probably similar for you, Jerry, when you were at that time. It's less frequent. And when you become a business owner, for somebody to turn around and say, "You did a good job," well, you're your own boss. Who is there to tell you to do that? And I put that, there's that pyramid, isn't there? That pyramid of needs. It's once you've got food, shelter,
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
I knew one of you would know it. Once you've got certain things and you go slightly higher up and you suddenly realize, well, hang on a minute. One of those needs is emotional needs, and being your own manager. I don't like the word boss, but being your own manager or leader, or being in a very senior leadership position as Jerry has been. Sometimes that's also another thing to lose. And I'm on a sense of discovery of going, "Oh, okay, how far up this leadership tree do I want to go?" When I know that that's perhaps one of my emotional needs. And that's why I think listening to your stories and going, "Do you know what? It is absolutely, it's not just okay, it's admirable to go, this ain't for me. And I'm going to put this blunt, fuck this shit, I'm out." I won't bleep that, so sorry, mother.
I mean, I'd done that. I think you're absolutely spot on, Dom, and I'd done that role for 4 years. So I felt like I'd given it my best shot. It's not like I did it for 6 months in or a year in, thinking I'm really not sure that this is right for me. I did it for 4 years, and I went through a lot. So took a team through 2 organizational changes and COVID in that 4 years. So you come out the other side of it and think, right, I've done my time. I've done my bit now. It's time to look at the next opportunity. But what was interesting was looking at that next opportunity, and I've said this to so many people that I've spoken to, because it was so important for me. It took almost a year from me identifying what role I wanted to actually getting that role and landing it. And you are tested in that period as to how badly you want this. And there were moments where I was thinking, am I doing the right thing? I don't know. But I knew it was a test, so be cognizant of that. So I suppose this is my advice to anyone listening to this that might be thinking of doing something similar, was be cognizant of that. That you will be tested. There will be times when you're just like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. This is crazy.
That's me every morning.
Well,
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's me every day. But I mean, with regards to that decision, and I was pulled into that role. And that's the key thing, because the worst position to be in is to feel that you're being pushed out of your role into whatever it is that you're looking at. If you feel that you're being pushed out, by pushed out, I don't mean like somebody's trying to get rid of you. I mean, as in
dragging you
enjoying
up.
This. Yeah, the push forces, which are the, I don't like this, I'm tired, I'm stressed, there's too many hours, I can't deal with this. Those are all what I call the push forces, rather than the pull forces of that. Do you know what? I think I could do so much in that role. That role's really appealing. I'd love to give that a shot. And those are all the pull forces and that's what worked so well for me.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, there's many different things. Sometimes that pull force is, or push force is, I need to be able to pay the mortgage. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The financial pressure, I suspect, it can be a really... Having been in the situation, like underpaid, like it sucks. Like it's just a constant weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah, that's not easy.
No. So I take my hat off to you both, and I think it's really, but I think it's really good to just kind of like point out these stories, because we brought you on, Adam, last year to discuss like your journey, like, and how exciting it is to try and be a PT. I'm sure you're going to say there's definitely one story that you've said that you went, oh, I don't like that. You're gonna have to tell. You're gonna have to tell where it's involving certain powders.
Yeah. So this was it was a session just before lunchtime, so maybe 10, 11 o'clock, one-to-one PT session with a client. And we've done some strength stuff, and we're like, right, we've got 10 minutes left. Let's put you on the assault bike and do some little short intervals. So it's a bike that the handles move back and forwards as you pedal, and it's got little fans in the flywheel. So the harder you pedal, the more resistance there is.
It sucks, by the way, Jerry.
You make it, you can make it really, really horrendous if you want to. So the more effort you put in, the harder it's going to be, which is really good. But because it's purely powered by you, it's really easy to change intensity. You can go really, really flat out for 10 seconds and then go really, really light for 10 seconds or 20 seconds. So that's what we did for about 4 minutes. And then like, okay, right, let's start. Like, I was like, right, you just sit there, let me grab some mats and we can do some stretching. And he was like, oh, I'm going to stand up. And I turned away and I heard this splat sound. I was like, that
it was a proper Ralph.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, that kind of splat. I thought it like it collapsed.
Yep. Or... No. It was a very liquidy splatting sounds. Yeah. And I'm like, right, okay, let me go grab some. And then I heard a bigger, where more came up as well. And I'm like, oh. So yeah, so it's into the cupboards for the magical powders that kind of that are really, really good. So they're like 4 kind of liquid spills and things, and they just absorb all of it. And then he was like guy was very embarrassed and said, like, I didn't feel it coming. I was like a little bit lightheaded, but wasn't feeling that. Stood up and it just went. Boom. It was like there was no warning, nothing. It just there, and I was like, oh, yeah, no.
Oh wow!
Like there's part of me going like, I'm quite glad. Like, and then he said, like, so as I say, we're approaching. It was either 11 or 12 o'clock, and like, yeah, like I've had a banana today. That was it. I was like, no,
eat
like
your breakfast,
if you're training, yeah, if you're like, if you wake up, put your gym stuff on, go train, you'll probably be okay with that. If you wake up at 7 o'clock and you don't eat, and then you go training at 11 o'clock, and then you do some high intensity stuff, you're probably not going to be getting away with that. So yeah.
I don't even, if I wake up, I still have a protein shake before I go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to point out, so I can't do it.
Yeah, and if I'm training early, then yeah, I'll grab a cereal bar or breakfast biscuits or something to eat while I'm on my way to the gym, because I like eating.
Yeah, we covered that one.
Or a bacon sandwich.
Or a bacon sandwich, maybe post gym.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like a reward, isn't it?
Something you just grab and go. Yeah.
Don't
want to be smelling bacon at 4 a.m. So
I'm pretty sure both of your wives would
unless you're still awake.
Yeah, if you're still awake from the night before, then yes. But usually you shouldn't be in any fit state to be cooking anything. And I'm pretty sure that both of your wives would probably question things if you were cooking bacon at 4 o'clock in the morning. Or at least going, where's mine?
Yeah, where's mine?
Yeah.
I expect it served to be in bed.
And then Larry would be straight there.
Oh yeah, you'd have the dogs around you.
I'd have the giant dish and a turd sandwich just staring up at me the whole time.
Oh dear. I just want to say thank you both for sharing those. I think they're really great stories just to kind of talk to do, and I've noticed the time, and I know that Jerry has got a little bit of time, and we had loads that we could talk about, but I am going to kind of bring this to a kind of a bit of a wrap up now, just kind of finish with Jerry's favorite final thoughts in a minute, which I'm sure he always forgets and then suddenly goes, oh crap.
I do literally every single episode, and I would go, oh yeah, final thoughts,
but I want to finish kind of sort of saying, like, just thank you for sharing, and this has been again a podcast actually where we put together a document, and it's been a little bit more of tangent. It's been a little bit not like there's been elements of this, and what I realized, and I just want to say, because again, Adam, you're absolutely going to probably get invited on again to talk more about this thing and bits and pieces, and myself and Jerry discussed, just kind of a spoiler for listeners and for you, Adam, as well. One of the things that we're learning about this podcast is, while we deem it the world's shittest podcast, and we never
in a good way.
We've learned that one of the things that we really enjoyed with having guests on is, while most podcasts interview like these high-flying celebrities, these, the Diary of a CEO is a great example. He interviews athletes, F1 drivers, CEOs, television hosts, people that you see anyway. And that's not to take anything away from them. They've got fantastic journeys and stories. But what myself and Jerry have started planning over this year is we want to get, I'm going to use air quotes again, apologies audio listeners, but normal people. Like, Adam is sort of normal.
Yeah.
but
very
but
abnormal.
he has a journey, but you're not a celebrity. You are a bit in the Taekwondo world, but that's your wife's fault.
Yeah.
But the point being is you're not someone super famous. You're and it's and if
I'm just a guy.
Yeah, you're just a guy. And as are me and Jerry. Some people may question that about me. The point being is, I've got at least 3, I think, coming tomorrow. I'm expecting it. But the point being is we're going to give our platform to people to tell their stories who are normal people that have these fascinating stories. And we've got 5 guests lined up coming up over the next year already, right? We've got nice. 2 new ones, yourself, Adam, and 3 reoccurring, someone who's been on before. So we're going to have this kind of just get people to tell them a bit about themselves in the hope that actually some of the advice or learnings that we take from this podcast are slightly different to what you might get from a CEO. It's like, how do you survive normal life? Not how do I become a CEO? And this is why I think the story and why I'm so thankful for you both to kind of come on and tell it is because this is normal life. There's financial problems for normal people. Problems is a strong word, but financial implications. There's stress implications, family implications, holiday implications. Adam, you now have the chance to be able to do some of the Taekwondo stuff on the weekends because you're not at the gym.
Yep. Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. So I'm going to finish it there. Jerry, your final thoughts.
Well, so one of them would probably be there'll be CEOs and CIOs and directors and stuff listening, entrepreneurs listening to this podcast going, haha, losers. No, I'm joking. So final thoughts are don't constrain yourself with regards to what you want to do. So I didn't constrain myself with regards to my career. I did actually, I hate using this expression. It's so rubbish, but I'm going to use it. I did actually think outside the box, right? Because I didn't think sort of logically and what somebody would deem as logic, because it's not a logical, it wasn't a logical next step for me, a natural next step for a career move. So
it wasn't from the outside, it wasn't a logical step. From the inside,
yeah.
I would argue you didn't think outside the box. You thought internally more than outside the box.
Yes, you're right.
I think it's the way to phrase it.
I think that's absolutely spot on. It did raise a lot of eyebrows for people that I was speaking to, in the organisation that were like, "Sorry, you want to do what now?" And that also tests you. And my other thoughts is, and look, this isn't self-congratulatory stuff here, but I have to say it with regards to this. So this podcast genuinely, not generally, but genuinely has really changed everything for me. It's been an absolute game changer in my life. It's been a life changer for me.
It's all your fault.
It's your fault. You brought it up. We're going to keep having this back and forth, but honestly, it's the best thing I've ever done. It's brilliant. And the fact that we did this podcast, Dom, also helped me because it was a leap. It was a big leap of everything for me, faith and vision, and
it was your fault.
Trying to go. Well, no, it is. It wasn't. You started it.
I'm going to say, short story. I said to Jerry, I'd really like to do a podcast, and the person I've always wanted to do a podcast, and the only person I could think of I'd want to do a podcast is with you. And he went, "That's a really good idea." And then he messaged me 2 days later. He went, "Right, I've bought a mic, and when do you want to do this?" And I'm like, arse.
I was just throwing an idea out there. This wasn't planning.
It's brilliant because I'm reading the 5-second rule again by Mel Robbins, and it was a 5-second split decision that you didn't take any hesitation or fear. We just went for it. So yes. The only unfortunate thing, Adam, is you're not going to get away with it. What's your final thoughts?
I knew this. So, especially one of the things I was like, actually, with you saying, how do you survive normal life? Find what makes you happy. So I'd watch a load of stand-up comedy, and Daniel Sloss has got a bit at the end of one of his stand-up bits where he's talking with his dad. He's like, how are you happy? And he talks about life as a jigsaw puzzle. And so you've got your family and your friends, and you've got your career and your hobbies. And then in the middle, his dad goes, "That's your partner piece." And Daniel Schloss says, like, that's what kind of basically ruined his life and relationships, because he was looking for the perfect person to come and to fit his jigsaw. And it's like, but that doesn't work, because everyone else has their own jigsaw. And you know that you can't, two people can't work on a jigsaw puzzle together. It doesn't work.
To my mum
You
and
end
dad
up
about
changing
that.
and sacrificing. And and Daniel's like, what it was is that middle bit, that center of your jigsaw puzzle, that's your happiness piece. And he said it just so happens that for his dad, that is his partner. They just happen to be the same piece. So I was like, well, actually, find what makes you happy. What do you value in your life? And as Dom says, like, find out what are you willing to sacrifice and what are you not willing to sacrifice. Okay, there is that corporate ladder, and everyone expects you. Oh, you've been at this level for this many years. Let's get you promoted. Well, no, I'm comfortable enough. Like, I enjoy what I do. It pays my bills. Why? Like, unless you're there going like, I'm bored with what I'm doing. Okay, then look for the next challenge. Or as you say, do you know what? That job over there, I could really do a lot in that job. I think it'd be fulfilling. I think I could give a lot of benefit out from doing it. Great, go for it. But I think a lot of people go for I'll take that next step because it's the thing to do. It's what's expected. But actually, I'm happy in my life and I want to be able to do this and I want to be able to do that. I want the flexibility to do Taekwondo events. And I want the flexibility to have 2 weeks off for Christmas. I want the flexibility to not have to worry about, do I pay for my mortgage or do I pay for food? So,
find the balance. Yeah. It's good. It's perfect. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Find the balance.
Awesome. Well, and you both know what I think. You're both legends. So, please don't punch me too hard tomorrow, Swanee. We know who is also a legend who we haven't mentioned, Jerry. We've got to mention her. Oh, come on. She's going to be disappointed. She's going to listen to the podcast. You've blanked, haven't you?
God, I've completely blanked.
Feel the tension.
I'll give you a clue. She's related to me.
I'm going to get into trouble now.
She's related to me.
Oh! Oh my God, I'm in right trouble now.
Yeah.
She is she is the legend. Yes. I think that's what threw me. You just said a legend.
Oh, okay.
She's the legend.
The legend, yeah.
Oh, I think I might have got away with
quality digging up, that is.
Oh, dear.
She is a legend.
She is a legend. Right. Brilliant. Thank you very much to you both. Thank you very much, listeners, watchers. Please do. I'm going to do like a proper YouTube spiel. Please rate, subscribe, like, thumbs up, etc. Because actually, the more I have these conversations, the more I would like to promote this a bit more. And speaking of sacrifice, and I know that Adam's bit was about marketing, and I'm trying to learn a little bit to see if I can get the podcast maybe a little bit out there. But do share it with friends, family, whomever. Myself and Jerry will continue this until we die because we just love having this 2-hour chat. If you want to be on the podcast, we'd love to have you on. I'm sure you've got plenty of stories, even if that's discussing people throwing up in a gym. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you, Dom. Take care, everybody.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Thanks, Adam.